disappointed in that loss at Arizona State because I knew you guys were on the cusp of really starting to rise up the AP top 25. And I know where the Big 12 sits right now in the general college football conversation. You know, it's the Big 10, it's the SEC, and then the ACC and the Big 12 kind of chip away, trying to get up there, trying to, be that number 3 conference and try to maybe sneak their way somehow into the top 2. So the more programs, the better for the Big 12 that are inside the top 25, and TCU had just snuck in there, and then that difficult loss set them back. But I think they're back on the rise. A tricky game this Saturday on Fox right after our Big Noon Kickoff game at Kansas State, a place that's been a bit of a bogey game for them. But with the things that Josh Hoover has done, what Sonny Dykes has been able to build there at the Fort, it's clearly a program that, maybe not a lot of people were talking about beyond just the DFW, beyond the Metroplex. I think they're now part of the greater national conversation more than they used to be. I know we value TCU as an entity, whether it's on the Big Noon side, whether it's on the programming side. We know what TCU now represents. Of course, that great run to the national championship game didn't hurt. And what doesn't hurt is getting our butts on campus and realizing just how beautiful TCU is. When we were there a couple of years ago during that magical run, it was the first time for all of us on the set, whether it was behind the scenes or in front of the camera, that had been to TCU. And our takeaways were, my gosh, these people are so warm, so welcoming, so happy. The place is so beautiful. Like, why wouldn't we want to come back? Why wouldn't we want to be here? So TCU's actually become one of our favorite stops for a multitude of reasons, and I just spouted them off. And then, of course, they're getting it done football-wise, and they're investing in football. And, I've seen all the construction the last year and change that's been going on for the practice facility and the new snow room and everything that's going on. So I think TCU football, kind of hand in hand with the Big 12, is a program and a conference that's on the rise in the college football landscape.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we have to do is just play. Understand it's going to be a 60-minute football game. That's just the way this league is. The Big 12 is you're going to have to play for 60 minutes. And, you go and you look at pretty much every single game in the league. It's going to come down to the very end. And so that was pretty much the case for us this last week. That was certainly the case for Kansas State and Baylor last week as well. That's just the way these games are going to be played. And so, we've got to handle end-of-game situations really well. We handled them better against Colorado than we did against Arizona State, and that was the difference between winning and losing the game. And so we're going to have to do the same thing this week. We're going to have to just weather the storms. There's going to be some good things that happen, bad things that happen. We're just going to have to keep our eyes down, stay emotionally grounded, and just continue to grind through things. And, it's going to be a hard-fought game. We understand that, and we expect that. And we're going to have to be the team that plays the hardest and plays the most physical and plays the most disciplined. And again, those have been things that Kansas State has historically hung their hat on.
It's been a bit of a bogey game, right, for TCU. They've lost 2 in a row in Manhattan, and I think 4 out of the last 5. Last time they were in Manhattan, got waxed 41-3. Kansas State has, they go with their quarterback, right? And I know the wins haven't been there, but with Avery Johnson, with his legs, with his arms, with that beautiful cocky flow hair as well, he's the tip of the spear for Kansas State. So, Sonny and TCU know that they've got to nullify him as well. A bit of a soft spot, though, is their defense, particularly their passing game. So I think Josh and company are pretty excited about that. Eric McAllister has been fantastic. And my guy, the guy that I love the best is Man-Jack, right? Like I don't need gloves, I don't need tape, I don't need a sleeve, I don't need tattoos. Just throw it to Man-Jack. And I get the impression that he's the type of guy that I think a lot of NFL scouts would look at and coaches be like, I like that dude, man. He just gets it done somehow, some way. I think TCU is going to make a run here. In the back half of the season, they've got to figure out their running game. They can't keep relying on Josh's arm to bail them out and save them. As fun as it is to watch and it's entertaining, I think the run game needs to pick it up. And I think the defense knows that they need to be a little bit more consistent and try to find a way to end games themselves late in the third quarter, again, rather than trying to always rely on Josh's arm to get it. But this is a tricky game. Sonny knows it. It sounds like he's been super tight and dialed in and focus this week on this road trip to Manhattan. You can't stumble here if you want to get yourself to the Big 12 championship game. And we know there's a lot ahead, including Baylor next Saturday with an early kickoff. That one is such a great showdown. And then still 2 ranked games I'm looking at right now: home to Iowa State and then at BYU in the middle of November. So you already had that one little speed bump that you hit at Arizona State. Again, the margin for error in the Big 12 is so razor thin if you want to get yourself into the college football playoff scene. So I feel like they've got to pretty much run the table to get themselves to the Big 12 championship game, which means you can't stumble in Manhattan this Saturday.
Well, they've just been really good. I mean, I think they've been consistently good. I think their fans are smart fans. I think they understand football. I think they appreciate the culture that exists within the Kansas State program. I think everybody is united. I think that's what's made that place special through the years. You go back and you look at Coach Snyder and what he built there at Kansas State, and they just did things the right way. And I think that their fans appreciated the attention to detail and the work that they did. It's obviously carried over with Coach Klieman and the consistent success that he's had. And I think they just appreciate, kids that play hard and kids that do things the right way in a program that every time they take the field, regardless of who they play, they've got a great opportunity to win. And that's what you've gotten from Kansas State through the years. They've lost a couple of games this year at the very end of games, have had some bad things happen to them down the stretch. But this is a typical Kansas State team. I mean, they're dangerous. They're well coached. They play hard. They do things the right way. They're good on special teams. Just all the things that give you a chance to win, they do it. They've got good edge rushers. I've been very impressed with their linebacker play as well. I mean, I think it's probably the 2 best as a group linebackers probably in the league. They've got guys up front that are athletic. They have guys up front that play with really relentless effort. And so we're going to need to do a good job, against those guys. And, we're going to see some different looks. That's one thing that we've come to expect is when we play people, we're going to see something different than what they presented, previously. And so we're going to have to prepare for a lot of different things this week because, we're going to see a lot of movement up front with their defensive front. And, that's kind of been what people have done against us. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that on Saturday. So we're really preparing hard and working hard to try to get the best looks that we can this week to prepare for that.
Yeah, they're really good. They're well coached. They play hard. They're front. Those guys just never quit playing. That's just kind of their MO as a defense is they play hard, they run the football, they tackle well, and they're a solid team. So far what I've seen, they're really good. They've been really successful playing at home. They've been successful in this league for a long time, and they're going to be a really solid team. I mean, that's all there really is to say. We all know what we got to do. We got to show up and play our best football, and that's what we're focused on doing. And that's the exciting thing is we know it's going to be a challenge, and we know we're going to have to play our best in order to win. So that's the challenge. That's the goal. I think we've all kind of got our eyes set on what we need to do, and just trying to keep that edge sharp. Got to play clean. We got to play clean. Got to do our job at a really high level. We got to throw and catch. Do a great job giving receivers chances. Those guys, I believe they're going to go make plays. That's who they are. We got playmakers, and we got to be able to just be balanced and make plays in the critical moments and be really good on third down and just have a great feel for what they're doing, a great feel for what we're doing, and just go play clean.
So listen, I've become a TCU fan the last couple of years, and I watch just about every single game. Whenever I can, I'm watching it. So I clearly had eyes on at least the second half of the Colorado game. And to me, Josh has a little Baker Mayfield in him. He's got some of that little swagger, some of that, hey, I don't care, whatever it is, even if it's the little flow of the hair, his size, the ability to run and escape, the fact that he's a gunslinger and not afraid to drop things in. Obviously what Baker's done for the Bucs this year with these fourth quarter comebacks and these last second drives, I feel like Hoover's kind of that college equivalent right now. When he's got the ball in his hands, you feel good about your chances. We talked to Todd McShay on our podcast, The Triple Option, a couple weeks ago, and his eyes lit up when I brought up Josh Hoover. So the NFL knows about this guy. The Big 12 knows about him. I don't know if all of college football knows about him to the degree that they should. And again, I go back to that Arizona State loss. Had TCU won that game and the turnovers weren't there, I think when we're doing, our club Heisman on Big Noon Kickoff, Josh Hoover's name is going to be brought up. Not too late. You don't win Heismans in late September and early October. You do it in November. So TCU and Josh still have some opportunities to increase their credentials and get back in that conversation. But I think Josh Hoover is one of the top quarterbacks in a really good quarterback conference in the Big 12. And I think he's one of the top QBs that you're going to be talking about come draft time.
Boy, we talked about this even dating back to the summer, the amount of talented quarterbacks in this league. And it's a quarterback-driven league, and it's a skill player-driven league. And so I look at, what Sawyer has from skill positions, and then look what Hoover has. And there's not somebody say, boy, you only can take this guy out. They've got so many guys that can beat you, and a guy that is throwing the ball as well. I know he's a terrific athlete and can run the ball, Hoover is, but throwing the ball really accurate, especially on deep balls. And so that's the thing that probably scares us the most, is the fact of we've given up some explosive plays, and there's an explosive offense that is going to take those shots, and they're playing really well offensively. I thought Avery played maybe his best game last week against Baylor. He was on point. I thought he threw the ball really well. Once again, take the one play aside where we don't pick up a pressure, and he wishes he had that play back. But I mean, he threw some strikes. He's running it when we need him to run it. But we're not going to give it to him 15 times a game in design run game. That's why we went to the two quarterback stuff. He's the best quarterback for a reason. We're not going to run him 15 times a game. But I thought Avery's playing at a level in the last few weeks good enough for us to win. But it's whether it's complimenting him a little bit more, making some plays on defense, or finishing drives. I know he's frustrated we didn't finish that drive as well to end the game.
Yeah, Avery, he's a great player. You got to be able to just account for his speed and just his quarterback run. It kind of makes it hard because you kind of have to respect him. You know what I mean? Just even in your pass drops, just knowing that if you cover everybody up, he's going to step up and run. So, we've had pretty much, I feel like every game so far has been a running quarterbacks, so that's been good just to have some history and some experience before Avery. I just feel like, me and Caleb, I've been saying pretty much like the same player, pretty much like I got so much confidence that he can make his plays on his field or that plays come to him. And I mean, I'm making plays come to me. So, we're both just playing off each other. We have a lot of communication. So it's pretty much just expecting for where the other guy to be and just playing off of him.
Hey, here's the six real contenders for the national title. I think the last couple of years we're like, all right, maybe it's 8 now, maybe it's 10. This year, I think we're even talking about, obviously 12 teams are in the college football playoff, but I think you're saying to yourself, hey, there's 12 or 14 teams that I'm really curious about that I think on any given Saturday have the opportunity to get a big win and get themselves further along in the college football playoff scheme. And I think TCU and Sonny Dykes have done a great job to position themselves, to put themselves in that conversation. But the margin for error for the Big 12 is so thin. I think we'll know that the Big 12 has finally made it when they get more than one team in the college football playoffs. Right now, obviously, Texas Tech is that team that's leading it, but BYU is there in the conversation. Arizona State is in the conversation. TCU is certainly in the conversation as well. So I think a big thing for the Big 12 is to continue to embrace NIL, continue to embrace that transfer portal, and then keep fighting to get that top part of the league to be recognized week in and week out as a true top 12 team, not just, we have to invite the Big 12 championship game winner to the big dance. Instead, it should be, hey, which of these teams are not going to make it? Like, let's get 2, maybe even 3 teams under serious consideration yearly from the Big 12 to get themselves into the playoffs. That's when we know, I think the conference has finally really kind of taken that next step. And Commissioner Yormark, I know he's on campus a lot, man. That guy gets around, doesn't he? I know he's based in Dallas, but he is all over. He's done a great job in building up that conference. And I think TCU has been, one of the really strong partners for the Big 12 the last couple of years.
Keeping score of your finances but missed the Bitcoin wagon? There's a second chance called Texit Coin. Score big at texitcoin.org.